This is my third time out at Zoho's offices, but who are you?
I'm Sridhar Vembu. I'm the CEO of Zoho. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought it would be fun to come and talk with you because I just saw Microsoft's Office 2010, which will come out in 6 months to a year, and it seems aimed at taking away mostly Google's, they want to make sure Google doesn't take away their Office market. But I saw your blog post about that, and I thought it would be fun to talk about. How do you think that changes your market?
Yeah.
Now that Microsoft is starting to move into the web.
First, of course, it's tremendous validation. I mean, even till like a year ago, they were pretending like none of us exist, even that these tools won't make any impact. But now I think they're starting to recognize that these tools matter and they are going to make an impact. And I really believe the web changes the market in a fundamental way. That when people assume that it's going to be a monopoly forever, and particularly in the Office market, I don't believe that's going to be true. That this is going to be a competitive market where many players, with specializing in different aspects, all of that could come in. And the reason for that is standardization.
Yeah.
That you have browser as the delivery medium, and the documents and all of that are standardized. So there is no reason, for example, a lawyer and realtor, all of them could be using the same exact tool. They could be using different tools, and yet they interoperate. The documents could be read by any of the various tools, and so this.
And we see that sort of when somebody emails me a Word doc and it comes into Gmail, Gmail opens it up in their own word processor.
Exactly.
I guess that's sort of where I'm seeing each of the companies is coming with its own viewpoint, I guess. Microsoft is coming off the desktop and is trying to keep fidelity with the desktop. Google is trying to use Gmail and integration with Gmail. What's your claim to fame? What is
So
Zoho
we really look at it
for?
more broadly than what Google does. For example, our largest, hottest selling product is CRM. And so we look at those business-oriented applications, and we look at email and the Office suite integrated closely with them. In the desktop world, that integration really did not exist. I mean, you had plugins. I mean, you really had weak integration. We believe, in fact, what we showed with the mail and CRM integration is the beginning of it, that these should be much more closely integrated. So most people work on email, but their real work is, say, in sales, or whether it's in accounting or whatever. So these systems should integrate much more closely. And with cloud-based services, it's much easier to integrate. That's what we see. So that is how we are going to compete, really integrating these applications from CRM or project management closely with documents and spreadsheets and email.
Yeah.
So that's how we compete.
When I first visited you, I think you had 3 or 4 services. Now you have dozens, right?
Right. 20,
So
actually, I think.
20 different
right,
services in a couple of years, 3 years. Are you going to continue bringing out a lot of different tools, or are you going to work on? And what's your strategy now?
We will have, we'll round out the suite. A few more applications would come, but a lot of the focus now is integrating these in ways that really add value to the user. So we think of, in fact, this is what is driving us is we look at email or the Office suite as really commodity, actually, and that's something that thought should scare Microsoft, because these are becoming commodities. And really the value lies in how integrated that is into your workflow, whatever it is that you do for your job. If you're a salesperson, how integrated your document management is with your CRM, and your email is with your CRM. And those are the things that are going to matter. And that's what we are really focused on. So a lot of the next year and subsequent years is going to be not so many new services, even though that's part of it, but a lot of integration, creative integration between them.
Interesting. What's driving the market? What's driving a small business right now to consider buying or using an online Office suite instead of the older Office that you install on?
There's 2 drivers. One is the productivity gain they get from this. You can get started, get going, and start using it right away, and with no administrative real hassle at all. And the economics. So here is a case where these tools make you more productive, at the same time costing less. And the reason for that, I mean, the fundamental economic driver is it costs us less to do these than an equivalent desktop application.
Right.
Cloud is actually, from a development perspective, more productive. And same way, it is also more productive from a marketing perspective. We spend less to attract the user. So those savings, both from the development and the marketing, then accrue to the user in terms of both licensing costs, the subscription costs, as well as then of course the productivity benefit of using ubiquitous access to your documents, so and your information.
Yeah. How is mobile changing your world? Are the Android phones and the Palm Pres
Today,
and the
iPhone is the biggest,
Yeah.
Biggest by far for us. But we are also investing in the Android and Palm Pre. Difference is for iPhone, we tend to do now more of the apps that are installed, also the web, but a lot of the focus is on the apps. While the other platforms, you're focusing on the web more. And the Palm Pre has made it really easy by really web enabling it, which is a very smart move on their part. So long term, maybe in 5 years, we think the web will dominate even in the mobile space. But today, we have to do SDK apps. So that's what we are doing.
Yeah. If you were, forget you're working for Zoho, if you're a small business person, what would you be paying attention to on this space? What would you be trying? And how would you start moving from an office world where you have Word and Excel and maybe Outlook and SharePoint? Small businesses don't usually have SharePoint, but they probably have Outlook and are using that for their email. To a world like this, what 1 or 2 or 3 services would you first try?
I think they would probably CRM is where they will get started first, because that's just where the barrier is. It's okay, partly testimony to the excellent marketing Salesforce has done, but also more important, everyone has to track their contact. A business means revenue.
Yeah.
That's the definition of business, and that means customers, and you need to track them. And this is a case where one of the reasons why CRM succeeded so well is everyone needs it, and everyone who's a business needs it. And this is a case where none of the technology limitations, do you have fancy Ajax, how good is your JavaScript, none of that really matter for CRM. You could be on IE 6, and you could still use a CRM system on the web well. On the other hand, if you're coming into like a presentation or a spreadsheet, it is, of course, you have to have a certain amount of technology on your client.
Yeah, if you look at SlideRocket, for instance, they do really beautiful presentations, but you have to have a modern web browser.
Exactly. So this doesn't mean these are less useful, but what's going to happen is as technology advances, these things are going to follow. People are going to, in fact, CRM is a good one because that gets them into the mindset of getting their information in the cloud. I mean, if you're going to put your sales information on the cloud, you can put anything on the cloud.
Yeah.
I mean, that's your crown jewel of your business. So that's why I think the presentations and the word processor, spreadsheet, everything is going to follow. In fact, after CRM comes email.
Yeah.
And that's where I think Gmail has made a lot of progress. A lot of Google's enterprise businesses, I think Gmail, driven by Gmail. And that's because it's a real pain for particularly small business to run their own mail servers.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's Exchange or whatever they're running, it's a pain. And any number of hosting companies, their main business is really outsourced email. And that's a space where we definitely also play. But the real, for us, the differentiation is not going to be just we also offer email, but it's so nicely integrated with your CRM and your other applications. That's our message. Really.
Yeah, so it's still tough for a lot of people to get their mind into putting stuff online, right? Yes. Instead of storing it on their desktop. Right. Last night on Twitter and FriendFeed, I asked about this, and people were like, I still don't know that I want to store my private business information on a third-party server for a whole host of reasons, right? Well, Twitter just went through this, right? Their passwords were hacked on supposedly on a Google Mail server, and a hacker got access to all sorts of private information because their security process wasn't very good. But that's a fear that a lot of people have. If you put it up on the cloud now, all of a sudden you're going to have to think about a new kind of security that you didn't have to think about when you had your Word doc on your hard drive.
Right. But for that, you look at really Salesforce as an example. They have more than 1 million users, 50,000 businesses using them. And those companies and those users have overcome that fear. I mean, because this is critical information. The same things that what happened to Twitter could have happened even in that case. It's just here, Google wasn't hacked. It's really if somebody used a really weak password, easily guessable password. But that problem exists even in, people put on their laptops, they have save password option and they lose the laptop. Yeah. Now anyone can really log in, and these things can happen anytime. I have lost a laptop myself. This was like 15 years ago, well before any of this cloud stuff. I had documents there. So that's just the way it is. I mean, so at some level, I believe really security at the data center level, it's a lot more secure than any, particularly an SMB can do.
Yeah.
So, and the access security, the passwords and all of that, I think people will get smarter. The two-factor authentication and biometric, all of that is going to come in. That's how we will solve the problem.
No, I know I got a lot smarter about my passwords because of the Twitter
I
problem.
did too. Actually, in fact, our whole company, we ordered everyone to change password. Now we have adopted a much stricter password policy for individuals now in the company. So
very cool. To switch topics to Twitter, you were telling me, tell me about your internal business and how you're using Twitter and how that's, what are you seeing change in the market?
yeah, increasingly we are seeing, I myself never warmed up to Twitter until very recently. I mean, I'm a late adopter, I should say. But I didn't really appreciate the value, honestly. But now I see more and more, it's a great support channel for us. I mean, community interaction channel. We see, all the tweets going around from our user base, and they ask questions. And now all our support people, all our marketing, everybody monitors Twitter, including our development team, and they're constantly, having these conversations. So it's become a real business tool. That's something that even 6 months ago I wouldn't have expected. It has replaced a lot of other things. In fact, even more than blogosphere conversations, Twitter conversations have become more, vital for us to track and be in. So that's how it has changed for us.
For me too. I've been blogging less and Twittering more lately.
Yeah.
So to switch, can we see a demo of how a small business would use, for instance, the CRM tool, and how we could get our small business, let's say a bike shop or a pizza shop, onto online?
Yeah.